The Smartest Giant in Town by Julia Donaldson. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. Where's George? Which one is George? He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals. There. And the same old patched up gown. Where are the patches? Can you see the patches, Mishka? There.
There and there.
And there. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said sadly. One day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes. So he bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks with diamonds up the sides, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly. Yes. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. What's the matter? Asked George. It's my neck, said the giraffe. It's so very long and so very cold. Where's his neck? Where's the giraffe's neck? I wish I had a long warm scarf. Giraffe, said George, and he took off his stripy tie. Oh, it didn't match my socks anyway, he said, as he wandered round and round the giraffe's neck. Another giant, yeah, lady giant. It made a wonderful scarf. Thank you, said the giraffe. As George strode on, he strode towards home, he sang to himself, my tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. Oh, George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat, who was bleating loudly, meh, meh. What's the matter? Asked George. It's my sail, said the goat. Meh. What happened? It blew away in a storm. Meh. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat. Meh. Oh, he's sad. The goat is sad. Cheer up, said George. And what did he do? He took off his new white shirt. It kept coming untucked anyway, he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. It made a magnificent sail. Oh, thank you, meh, said the goat. George strode on, singing to himself, my tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt on a board is a sail for a goat, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. George came to a tiny ruined house. Look, where was this house? Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. Squeak, squeak. They were all squeaking. What's the matter? Asked George. What happened? Look. It's our house, squeaked the mother mouse. It burned down and now we have nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house. Squeak, squeak. Cheer up, said George. What did he do? And he took off one of his shiny shoes. It was giving me blisters anyway, he said, as the mouse and her baby scrambled inside. He's hopping. Wait. The shoe made a perfect home for them. Oh, thank you, they squeaked. Squeak, squeak. Lovely house. Look, how cheerful. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. He's hopping so loudly, look. They are covering their ears, they can't hear him hop. Listen to it. George came to a campsite. Beside the tent, Mishko, stood a fox who was crying. What's the matter? Asked George. What's the matter? It's my sleeping bag, said the fox. I dropped it in a puddle, look. He was walking, it was raining, and he dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag. Oh, cheer up, said George. And what did he do? He took off one of his socks with diamonds up the side. Oh, it was tickling my toes anyway, he said. As the fox snuggled into it, it made a very fine sleeping bag. Oh, thank you, said the fox. I can't see now. George hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. And then what? Look, George came to a big squelchy bog. Where is this bog? There, look, right? Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. Hey, whoa, whoa. What's the matter? Asked George. It's this bog, said the dog. I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. Blech. I wish there was a safe, dry path. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his smart new belt. It was squashing my tummy anyway, he said as he laid it down over the bog. It made an excellent path. Thank you, said the dog. Woof, woof. The wind started to blow. Mishka, stop. But George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt held the dog who was crossing a bog, but what now? Look at the wind. My trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town. Brrr. Suddenly, George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some more clothes, he decided. He turned round and hopped all the way back to the shop. Mummy Bear, Daddy Bear, the baby bear from Goldilocks. And there is Baba, black sheep. There's the shop. But when he got there, it was closed. They closed the shop. Oh no, cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on his way home. Then out of the corner of his eye he saw a bag with something familiar poking out of the top. What was it? He took a closer look. My gown, he yelled. Mishko dost. My dear old gown and sandals. George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. I'm the coziest giant in town, he cried, and he danced back home along the road. And look, what happened there? Outside his front door stood all the animals he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. There. Open the present. Come on, George, they said. Open it. George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and a card. Look inside the card, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside it said, Wow, Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, your shirt's on a board as they sell for a goat, your shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog, so here is a very fine crown to go with your sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town. That's the end.
Open it.
That was nice, wasn't it? Yay! Smartest giant in town.
Mommy,